Generation Z.
Generation Z.
Generation Z. Generation Z.
What distinguishes this group?
Not only are they competitive, but really independent.
Another thing that we know about this generation they're really going to challenge is the pace at which things get done.
Jonah Stillman, the 18-year-old the Vikings hired to serve as a Gen Z advisor.
There's 72.8 million Gen Zers, and if you're not willing to work hard, one of the other ones is going to come along and steal your job.
From the NASDAQ market site in Times Square, joining us today for a special discussion about their book, Gen Z at Work, we have authors David Stillman and Jonah Stillman.
Now what happens is a lot of you look at someone like Jonah and you're like, wait a minute, isn't he just a millennial? And I'm here to say no. And a lot of you might be telling me, oh my goodness, you mean I have to get to know a whole new generation? And the answer is yes.
Please welcome Jonah Stillman!
We are not millennials. We are our own generation. It shocks me how many leaders in the business world don't have my generation on their radar yet. For Gen Z, the real world and the virtual world just completely overlap. Whether we're loading groceries into the store at the supermarket or adding to cart on Amazon, it is all one and the same.
We cannot accuse this generation of being illiterate. They might type LOL or they might type OMG, but that is still writing.
Our parents didn't necessarily tell us that we could be the next president or an astronaut. They were very clear with our generation at a young age that this isn't such a pretty world and you've got to fight for what you want.
This is the YouTube generation when it comes to learning and development. What do? You start, you run into trouble, you log on, learn, and go back to work.
On average, how long is Gen Z's attention span? This is a very short 8 seconds. If we're refreshing our Twitter feeds at least hourly, no longer are quarterly updates gonna fly.
Gen Z hates open office concept. 50% of them want their own office. So here's a generation where 75% are looking for places of employment where I could have multiple roles at the same time. 35% of Gen Z would rather share socks than an office space. And we predict a lot of clashes between Gen Z and the millennials. Why? Millennials are the most collaborative generation. They think in a group, they work in a group, and now comes a generation that's a lot more independent. We're gonna see collisions big time if we're not ready for this independent generation. Now, part of me was so happy he had made it to the meeting, but I can't lie, part of me just knew he was gonna give me such a hard time for beating me to the meeting. So sure enough, she walks us down to the conference room. I walk in and I'm looking around and I said, so where's Jonah? And she literally said to me, oh, he's joining us via Skype.
Trust me, I heard about that for weeks. If you want to jump back in the app, click on vote. We want to know in this situation who you think was right. If you think I was right, click A. And if you think my dad was right, click B. I'm not joking, when I was younger, he literally used to tell me if anyone gets a participation award, it's him, because we got there and we were on time. My dad is an absolute Apple freak. So when a new product comes out, of course, he's all about it. Apple Watch, one of his favorite. So he gets it, it comes out, he sets it all up, and a couple days later, I give him a call. So I'm sitting there, I'm ringing, and the phone answers, and he's, hello? And I'm singing on the other end like, whoa, what is happening? So he's like, can you hear me? I can hear you great, this is awesome. I'm like, yeah, Dad, they can hear you in Europe. Why are you shouting?
My work, I've got my life, trying to do both. They don't see it as a balance. What they go for is what we call work-life blend. And that is work and life is 24/7. Our job isn't just from 9 to 5, it's all the time, and my life is all the time. We want to be proactive here because the leading edge is just graduating. We can get to know what makes them unique. When we get calls in a few years, that's when we're already in reactive mode. Recruiting's down, we're losing these new Gen Z associates. It's gonna feel different, and immediately what I see too many people do is go to this place to figure out who's right, who's wrong, better or worse. It's just different, so learn what makes them unique.
We are Generation Z.